Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode on the channel OTV Football. Today we have such a special episode. We are joined by none other than EgyptianEzzy. I'm sure many of you have seen him on Instagram, TikTok, and everything, and just so grateful and humbled that he was able to join us today to talk more about Egypt at the World Cup. Also joined by my co-host Alex. Really excited. Any of you guys have any thoughts before we kind of get into the topic of this video?
Ezzy.
I appreciate you guys for having me on, man, and I can't wait, man. This is gonna be a great discussion.
Sweet. Alex, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm just really happy as he gave us the pleasure of coming on, and yeah, excited to get into it.
Pleasure's all
So,
mine, man. Pleasure's all mine.
yeah, so excited to have you both on. Obviously, both of you being Egyptian, I mean, and me being half, my mom's from Belgium and living in the US all my life. Like having this group stage is honest, it's just incredible. Seeing, both Belgium and Egypt in the same group, and obviously having you two as both Egyptian experts is going to be awesome to kind of review Egypt's expectations heading into the World Cup, what we kind of saw at the AFCON, and a few other things that we can kind of discuss going into this. So first, whoever wants to start off, what are your overall thoughts on the group heading into it? We kind of can make this, free flowing as much as you guys want. So
As you go ahead.
Yeah, man. So it's a great group. I think this might be in my opinion, I'm being very optimistic here. I think this is the first time I think we can actually win a game in the World Cup and actually get out of the group stage. New Zealand, Iran, and Belgium, of course, all those teams are really good teams. But I'm always saying, we always have an X factor that sadly doesn't really get to show up a lot in the World Cup from all our times there. But I feel like this time, with the way that the team I saw play in the AFCON, especially in the semifinal, I think we could show that X factor in the World Cup and hopefully get our first win and get out of the group stage for
yeah,
once.
yeah. Alex, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've obviously talked a lot about this ever since the draw. For those that don't know, Karsten was actually at the draw. Um, and he saw it live because it was in Washington D.C., which is obviously, our area. But the second we saw Belgium and Egypt being put in the same group, it was scripting. Like we were in shock. And I think, for Egypt getting Belgium as the pot one team, no disrespect, but that was definitely probably one of the best we could have got, even when out of the host nations, honestly. But yeah, no, I'm completely with you, Ezzy. I'm very optimistic about this group. I think we could even finish top, to be honest. And I've never been an optimist about Egypt in general, but that AFCON was very encouraging. Recent results against Spain, etc.
And so, following up on that, Alex and Ezzy, what needs to happen for Egypt to do well at in this group stage, at least, and we can head into the knockouts later. But at least in the group stage, what needs to happen from kind of a factual perspective, heading in from I would say a pretty good AFCON performance. I'd say an overachievement from what some people expected prior to the tournament, getting to the semifinal and whatnot. But obviously now players like Haitham Hassan coming into the national team too. Abdelmonem's back from injury, but Ezzy, your thoughts?
Honestly, like you said, it's more like, in my opinion, we need to show who we are. I think the issue with this national team is we in Africa especially, I feel like we sometimes belittle the competition we have because you always go up, not you're not always up against, the top teams. You get to play a lot of, the teams that are maybe not the best. So I feel like we gotta always play at our best level and play with our play for the badge in a sense. When we play for the badge, we play very, very well. And that's what I need to see. The way we played against Spain, as much as people were like, "Oh, you guys were on the back foot," I thought that was a really good performance considering
Agreed.
how our defense was. Right? I
Agreed.
was like, "Wait, this is a really good defensive performance," and we even nearly scored through Omar Marmoush. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's something that I'm looking forward to. And if it's up against Belgium or Iran or New Zealand, it's fighting for the badge. Don't give up and don't, belittle the competition that you're going up against, right?
Yeah. Alex, any thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah. No, just to add on to that, I think everything you said was spot on. From more of like a tactical perspective, I feel like we need to keep the same kind of defensive identity we've had. Because I feel like, other really than the Ivory Coast game in the AFCON, we kind of struggled when we were given like the impetus to go forward. I think of the game against Zimbabwe. We obviously went down 1-0. Salah Marmoush heroics at the end, but I do feel like we need to improve in the attacking aspect. Not that we need to be some super possession based side, but like against New Zealand, for example, like I want to see us go out there and do what we did to Saudi Arabia and beat them 4-0. With all due respect to New Zealand, of course. But I want to see us, kind of get more on the front foot when the opportunity presents itself. But aside from that, I think the defensive ability that this national team, this group has shown is a bar none in Africa, to be honest. I think we can definitely get at all of these teams, and I want to see us keep that kind of defensive solidity that we've seen in the past 6 months or so.
Yeah. And where do you guys think Egypt realistically will finish in the group? I have them at least in the top two, I would say. I think the worst case scenario would be third. If they get fourth, I think it's kind of an embarrassment for what it's worth. I think they 100% need to be looking to get into that top two, in my opinion. But I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah, you worded it perfectly. I think second place is where I'm seeing us most likely land. I think Belgium will be a really tough test. Yes, of recent, I think last time we played them, we did beat them. But at the same time, I do think that there's still a lot of holes that we need to fill. I do think it's a better team since the last time we went up against Belgium.
Yeah.
But I it's the fact that we just got to make sure we play, like I said, for the badge at all times and beat Iran and New Zealand, who honestly are at our level. I'm not gonna say we're better. I'm gonna say we're all at the same level there. Even Belgium, I'm not gonna say like they're leaps and bounds. They have the players, they have the star names, but I think when it comes to the World Cup, there's no big name, there's no big team. It's just how you play up against all the teams and see how it goes, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I guess following up on that, like, are you a big fan of Hossam Hassan as a manager? I think that's like been kind of the big question and debate on Twitter and all throughout Egyptian media, I'd say.
He's I'm gonna say he's grown on me. I'm not gonna say I'm on the bad side or on the good
Yeah.
side. I'm gonna say when he first got in, I was against it because I was like, there's not much of a resume that I really want to look at, and there's a lot of bad that I've seen and heard personally. But, throughout AFCON, I could see that he was slowly improving the team tactically, slowly improving the players. The players are the thing with Hossam Hassan, and my father was telling me this. He's like, he came from a generation where the guys who he played with and the generation he played with, they all played because they loved the nation. And that's it. Oh, you're playing for the nation. You have that flag on your chest. You're going out there and you're going to prove to the world that this is your nation, right? And I saw that, especially in that semifinal game the quarterfinal game that you brought up against Ivory Coast. That was pure. We call it in Arabic gritta. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like pure passion, right? You're just playing for the badge, right?
That's the best Egyptian performance I may have ever seen, to be honest. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Any other thoughts? Keep it going.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on Hossam Hassan for a second. I think I'm kind of in agreement with Ezzy. Like he's definitely grown on me. I feel like I do want to see an evolution this tournament. I know obviously in the recent friendlies against Saudi Arabia and Spain, we had Mohamed Shaber in goal, which I thought was very evident we needed him in that AFCON. And I think, to be honest, we might have got even further had we had him. But I want to see some evolution. Like I don't want to see Marmoush as a low number 9 up top, for example. I don't want to see certain players in the midfield
Zizo.
certain yeah. I'm tired of seeing Zizo start for the national team. But I'll give him grace because at least I feel like I saw that improvement in the recent international window. But again, like I want to see that continue. And I think, all things considered, if he keeps making, like if he stays on the path he's on, which I believe he's on an upward trajectory, as he said, And if he stays on that path, then I don't see why he can't be the national team coach continuing after this World Cup into the next AFCON and in the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you guys. I think I'm honestly more optimistic, I think, than a lot of people on Haas. I think the guy, there's yet to be a game where, apart from the Senegal match for sure, but there's yet to be a game where I've really been like, okay, this guy's out of his depth and is out. I mean, the draw against Spain recently was very impressive to me, as you said, as he like people might have said, oh, they were on the back foot, but the first half, I'd say the first 40 minutes, Egypt was the better side. And people might criticize me for that and be like, oh, Spain's B team or whatnot. But Marmoush hitting the post and the dominance in midfield, Mohamed Lachine and whatnot playing well. And
Yeah.
I mean, I really thought that was a top tier performance. And it's Hossam Hassan has yet to have a game where, there's every right to criticize him. Like obviously the Senegal match, yes, they didn't play. I don't think they played bad in the Senegal match. I think they were just set up very cowardly. Like it was very like I think Hossam Hassan wanted to sit back, but if he wanted to attack them and whatnot, I think they could have played a lot better and probably even beat Senegal. I don't know if you guys agree, but
I feel like that Senegal game, just to not to harp on it too much, but it was kind of like, it reminds me a bit of Arsenal this season. Like
yeah,
any big game they go into, they just played for the draw almost, which you can't do in a knockout competition. And we've already had our fair share of, penalty heartbreaks in recent years. But I just want to see us be a little bit more confident in our ability, and not like Senegal are a great side. And I think, if we go, for a shootout with them, we're probably going to lose, to be honest, because they have a lot of attacking firepower. But I want to see us be a little bit more adventurous than we were. And against Spain, I love the defensive resilience, but like, our closest chance was that Marmoush off the post, and it's like an outside the box half chance that Marmoush, he's very good at those. But I want to see us be more confident in our abilities for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ezzy,
I
any more
agree on
thoughts?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree on that. I think the issue is, I always say this: the generation before 2010 was a generation that just showed that even if you are the team with the least amount of golden stars, you're still a team that can fight no matter what, and a team that can surprise. And I want us to bring that back to this generation now, where you have an aging Mohamed Salah, who sadly is not having his best season. You have Marmoush, who's not playing much for City, who in my personal opinion, I think he should be a starter for that team, if not a guy that
Agreed.
consistently gets played, right? But then you have a ton of other guys who play in the Egyptian league who have that passion and who want to play. It's just that we need to see it. You see it on club
Mhm.
level. Sadly, you don't see it much for some of them on national level. And like you pointed out, Alex, uh, Zizo's one of them, and
yeah,
Yeah.
Zizo's one of them that I've always been very sad about. As a guy who supports Zamalek, and I seen how
Yeah.
he was back then and seeing how he is now is kind of making me say, like, what changed? Like, even Trezeguet, for
Mhm.
example, the guy shows everything for Ahli and then comes to the national team, I feel like he's just like absolute shadow of himself. So
Yeah.
we need to see that. We need to see that.
yeah. I think Zizo, remember, like AFCON, I'd say 2022, though, when they lost the final to Senegal, he was kind of the goal, or at least heading into, the World Cup qualifiers where they lost off over those two legs. He was kind of like the golden boy for Egypt. He was like this next big prospect. And I think a lot of people who don't watch Egyptian football outside, like in Europe, still think Zizo is this, young up and coming talent. And, Alex and I talked a lot about Zizo during the AFCON. It's just, as you mentioned, as you put it perfectly. I mean, it's just his club performances and international performances have not been anywhere close to the same. But I hope it changes during the World Cup. But any more thoughts kind of on that topic?
I think
I
Imam
f-
Ashur as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah, Imam Ashur. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
another
Imam
That's
one.
a good
Ashur.
that's a very good one to bring up, I think. Because he shows it. He shows flashes for the national team. Like, again, I bring up the Ivory Coast game. Like that game, he was brilliant. He had, I think, a goal and an assist. That Trivela to Salah. I believe it was Salah that
Yeah, it
scored that
was.
goal.
Yeah.
He shows it. Like he has the ability. I just one thing that like, and maybe this is diverging a little bit from the main topic of the video, but like he had that stint in Denmark for 6 months, and then he just goes back to Egypt. Like like I love the Egyptian league. Like I think it is a great league, the best league in Africa by far. But I want to see, and I feel like this is kind of where the trend is going a little bit. But I want to see more players challenge themselves in Europe because Imam Ashur and plenty of other players have the talent to succeed in a top 5 league in Europe. 100%. There's a reason Egypt has been a successful national team for so long. These players are good players. They just need to challenge themselves more. Like I can only imagine if we had all our players playing at these top facilities, like how much better they would get. And Imam Ashur is a perfect example of that, I think.
It's the mentality. It's the
Yeah,
sad part. They like comfort. They like the money they are making in Egypt. They're at
yeah.
home. They like the weather. Like, I saw something say like, the reason why he left the Danish league was A, because he did that so he could go to Ahli, and B,
Mhm.
he's like, it was too cold. I was like, this is
I saw
this
that.
is too much, bro. Like, what are
Yeah,
we doing? And what I like right now, it's good that you bring that up, is Ibrahim Adel, who's also playing now in the Danish league, and a lot better. I'm
he's
I'm seeing so
yeah,
many so
yeah,
many things, so many good things right now.
Yeah,
yeah, and
he's
just like
I've always I called him. Sorry to cut you off, Alex. Just like for a quick second, I said to Alex during the AFCON, I was like, Ibrahim Adel reminds me of Hazard as a Belgium fan. And I'm not just actually the way the guy moves. Like yes, like talent wise, all right, whatever. But the way the guy moves, I'm just stylistically there is some similarity there. But I know it might be far fetched, but I love the guy to be honest.
I'll take that as a
yeah.
compliment, bro. You're good.
And just to touch on the issue as well, it's not always the players. Like we've seen Ahli like destroy some moves to Europe, especially in recent times, or just make it very difficult. Like we saw Hamza Abdel Karim now at Barca. I'm a Barca fan, as if you weren't aware. So I've been like, Carson knows like my love for Barca is almost on par with my love for Egypt, but like that was something, a transfer that excited me so much, and I'm so happy it happened. But all the troubles that came with Ahli, we had like 4 other players his age come into the same team that he's playing for, and they all got in super smoothly, no problems. And then you see Hamza has to go back to Egypt to get his work visa sorted out, and it's like, yeah. So it's not fully on the players, but it's just the culture in general, I think. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And I guess to follow up with that, so as you both being Egyptian fans, what would you consider a disaster for Egypt at this World Cup? And then what is a success for Egypt at this World Cup? 'Cause I think a lot of fans have a lot of different perspectives. As we can start with you.
We self-destruct on ourselves. That's it. If we self-destruct on ourselves, if we find ourselves trying to play some sort of egotistical football or belittle an opponent or do things that shouldn't be done on a football pitch, for example, that's how we mess ourselves up. And I've seen it throughout the years. I've seen it in friendlies. I've seen it in AFCON. I've seen it in qualifiers. The reason why we don't beat some teams that we think should be beaten by large margins is due to the fact that we self-destruct.
Yeah.
We
And
we belittle or we do what we see is fit. So, yeah.
for sure. And from like a results perspective though, like in terms of a disaster, like what is it, getting third in the group? Is it getting out of the group? Or, what would you consider a disaster and what is success for Egypt at this World Cup?
No wins, 0 wins. You don't show yourself. You don't show that fight that we had before. And on top of that, crashing out, I think, is a really bad option. And as well as the fact that our best bet is to beat Iran and New Zealand. We're a lot closer to us in par, but at least show fight. Even if we lose while fighting. We don't lose without trying, in a sense.
Yeah. And in terms of like the progression, like what would you be happy with from an Egyptian fan perspective as a result? Like round of 32, round of 16, just a win? Like, what is kind of the thought process there?
I think we can make it to round of 16s. I think we can, if like I'm really pushing it here,
Yeah.
quarterfinals. If I'm really pushing it,
Completely agree.
like this is me saying, yo, we get a team that's very close on par in round of 32 and in round of 16s, and we somehow make it through with penalties, and the world goes crazy, right?
Yeah.
But the
Anything
stars align.
it's a World Cup. I mean, anything can happen. I mean,
Yeah.
and especially with an expanded format, I feel like Egypt also, like, people like to bring up the Saudi Arabia, Argentina. This Egypt team is miles ahead of that Saudi side, with all due respect. Saudi, good side, 2022, whatever. But this is a good African team. I think a very underrated one. And I think could go pretty deep in this tournament. Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we did our predictions last video, obviously, and we had I think we had Egypt in the round of 16 against Argentina. And to be fair, like I would love, like, I will be at that game. We will be at that game for sure if that happens. But
It's not like
um
50 grand.
yeah, hopefully, God willing. Yeah, no, I think I would be extremely happy with the round of 16. Like, to win a knockout game, like, to go from not, we've never won a World Cup game. So already, like, I'm expecting that, though, considering, the expanded format, the group we're given. So I really would love to see us win a knockout game, even if that's just a round of 32. Like, if we're in the round of 16, I'll be happy. We've never seen our country there. So I'll be happy if we get there. And like as he said, inshallah we make the quarterfinal. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
Eh, I know it might be might be a crazy question, but, like, if the US fans can ask it, I think the Egyptian fans might be able to ask it as well. Can Egypt, if the stars align, can they win the World Cup? Like, no, like, I know it's like people are like, oh, it's crazy, but, like, is there a possibility for Egypt to do something big here by, like, defensively, and I don't know, things just align. But I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that, but
I think we play like we always played. We've beaten Italy in the past. We've gone toe to toe with Brazil before with our previous generations. Who says no? But at the same time, uh, I'm a realist,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think we could do. I think if the stars really align here, I think we could do what Morocco did and
Yes.
head that far, right? And maybe just miss out. But do I think we're going to realistically make it to the final, considering there's France, there's
Yeah.
Spain, there's Germany, there's Portugal, there's Netherlands. Like it's gonna be tough, but like I say, football is miracles, and just you need a miracle to make it through.
Said Alex, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm also kind of a realist, but I mean, hey, if Omar Marmoush says they can win the World Cup, then go for it. They can
Yes,
win the World Cup.
that was his quotes. And I don't know. I'm a Hossam Hassan believer. I am. So, until this guy proves me wrong. And just for you guys, like, Alex knows this, obviously, like, because we talked about a lot, me being a Belgium fan. Just from a Belgium perspective, Ezzy, like, I think I was at the friendly in 2018 when I was in ninth grade when we won with our golden generation. And then obviously Alex and I were actually in a Discord watching the 2022 match prior to the World Cup, with Egypt winning that. I think on paper, this is the most even both teams have been at, especially, obviously they've never played in a competitive match, but this is crazy. It's like the stars align for both of these teams to be so even, because I don't think we're as bad as we were in 2022, but we have a lot of good young players, but some of them inexperienced right now. Obviously Jeremy Doku is a big one people like to talk about right now, and obviously still having Courtois there and all these players. But Egypt, I mean, since, the suspension of the league back in the early 2010s, and then now, I think that was also a huge reason in 2018, to be honest, that the depth wasn't there. I think the league hadn't really caught up to what had happened around the world. I think now, after, post, what is it, 15 years since the suspension or something like that, you see the amount of Ahly and Zamalek players that are playing now and at very high levels, and they have a lot of good depth. And I don't know. I think Alex mentioned at the beginning, I think there's possibility for Egypt to even top this group, but I'm not.
Carson, I want to flip this on you. Sorry to interrupt, but I
Yeah.
want to flip this on you for a second now. You being the Belgian in here. So that matchup against Belgium, I think, is going to be very key. We obviously saw in 2018 when Egypt opened against Uruguay, and we looked amazing. We looked like we were going to get the draw, and then, the infamous Jose Maria
Maria
Jimenez
Jimenez. Yeah.
header last minute. And that kind of just destroyed the will of the team for the rest of the tournament. And obviously you had the Russia doping allegations, whatever. And at that point they beat us and we were out. But
Yeah.
I think this matchup is really gonna kind of not determine our future, because I still think I can see us getting 6 points in the other two games, but I think it could really be like there's a lot of upside here if we were able to get a draw or win against you guys. So I want to know, since this is the opener, obviously Lukaku's been having a lot of fitness issues. I feel like he is a nightmare matchup for our back line, personally. And we've talked about this in the AFCON. Like, what kind of striker profile?
As he
And as he,
disagrees.
I'll get your opinion on this. I personally think that kind of big hold-up striker that Lukaku is, I feel like our back line would struggle against that kind of profile. And then I also look at someone like Doku on the left. And normally I would say Luka Bacchio, but I think Fatou, I mean, we saw him pocket Lamine Yamal, so I think he's unreal. Yeah. But I want to ask your opinion on that game specifically, Karsten. And then Ezzy, I want to also get your thoughts on what I just said. But
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I know Ezzy, seems to disagree. For me, and I think people on the outside too, I think it is kind of propaganda, though. I will say football propaganda from, certain accounts on Instagram that are like, oh, it's Lukaku, and he misses chances, which he does in big games. No doubt. I've watched this guy, probably 100 matches of this guy. I mean, I love Lukaku, though. I'm one of like the few people that loves the guy, because the reality is this. The guy has over, I think, 90 goals he's like a top 7 international scorer of all time, period. Without like Cristiano, those types of players, like I know Sunil Chetri from India, like the guy who's like 120 goals or something. Like he is banging so many goals for us. And I think 2020, COVID years, like he was on par with Lewandowski when he was at Inter, when he was breaking the R9 record and everything. But obviously everybody remembers the misses, the 2022 Croatia game where he came back after 6 months of not playing, comes in the game trying to save us, misses, a bunch of sitters and whatnot, and the Champions League final for Inter and everything. But I agree with you in the sense, yes, I think if Lukaku is fit and if he is firing, I don't think Egypt have seen a big striker like that that has that goal scoring capability like Lukaku, or if they were to play like a Norway Holland or someone like that. I don't think CAF has someone like that. Osimhen, you could argue, yes, but he's more of like a thinner, taller guy who's athletic. Like, but
runs the channels a bit more.
Yeah, runs the channels a little bit more. I think it's a different profile. But in terms of the game itself, I think I tweeted this out too. If Egypt, I don't think this is going to happen, but if Belgium comes out, surprises me, even most Belgian fans, and we fire out and we, score a bunch of goals, and it's it's kind of like a drubbing, I don't want that to happen, because I think then that could hurt Egypt's confidence a lot, as we saw in 2018. And the biggest thing is how Egypt is going to respond after the Belgium game and what type of the result they're going to get. Because the biggest matches is, as he said, Iran and New Zealand. Iran are not a bad team. They're a very good team. And obviously with the political climate right now, we don't know what we're going to get from them. Are they going to, crap the bed, or are they going to play brilliant? We don't know. So they could be very motivated. This could be kind of like a Ukraine storyline, something like that. You never know. So I think, yes, it's just the Belgian fixture for Egypt. Like, I personally think it's going to be very close. I don't think it's going to be drumming at all. I think it's going to be most likely, I'd say, a draw, to be honest. It may be a 1-goal Belgium win, but yeah, I think Egypt, the response to the Belgium game is the biggest thing for me. But Ezzy, yeah, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, you're not far off of what I'm thinking. Look, I'll say this: Africa prepares you for everything, man.
Yeah,
African football
That's a good
prepares you
point.
for everything, man. You got big strikers, little strikers, fast guys, skillful dudes, and I'm happy you guys bring up the Spain game, because what kind of threw me off when I was watching that Spain game, I was like, Lamine Yamal's going up against Fatouh. Fatouh is, he's good. He's my personal favorite left back in the league, and for the national team, he's the guy I want to play left back. But I was like, maybe it's too hard for him. The guy's good, right? And then I saw him do what he did, and I was like, you know what? I'm not too worried now. Plus, like I said, Africa, you do go up against big strikers. Maybe
Yes.
not Lukaku type. I
Yeah.
love Lukaku. I do think Lukaku is an amazing striker for who he is and how he uses his body and how much of a hold up play type of striker he is.
Yeah.
But I still think our center backs, if it's Abdel Majid or Yasser Ibrahim, who, in my personal opinion, should be the two starters, I think I from what I've seen so far, they've done really well against all types of strikers or attackers that were thrown at them. If
Yeah.
that is a strong one, a physical one, a fast one. And I think the only two games where I was really not questioning them, but more questioning the tactical side of things was the Nigeria game, third place. I was there watching that live, and
Uh,
God, that was not fun to watch. And the Senegal game, which I was also there, and it was
Yeah.
also kind of worrying. So I saw
Yeah.
both of those guys put up a performance that I was super proud of, and I said it's not the defense's fault. More of it is for the Senegal game, the goalkeeper's fault, in my opinion, and the tactical shape. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. I think Belgium is going to be a really good game, and I'm
yeah.
honestly, that's the game I'm waiting for the most because it's going to decide a lot of things in that
I
group.
Agreed.
I just think Alex and I are like, we saw 2018. I remember literally, being in high school, waking up at 8 a.m. for the Uruguay game and just like being heartbroken when Jimenez scored the header because it literally changed the trajectory of the tournament for Egypt. I mean, if Egypt get the draw on that game and they head into Russia, I mean, I think it's a completely different story. Maybe Russia wins. Yes, they were doping allegedly, but it's like, it's it's still. I mean, you get a draw there, then you go into Saudi too. You can get a win. I mean, it's just yes, it's just a big decider. But I think just Alex, I'll let you continue. But I was just gonna say the last thing is, I mean, Lukaku as well. Without him, I mean, I watched so much of Belgium. Without him, we cannot score against competent defenses. We've drawn against Kazakhstan,
Yeah.
North Macedonia twice. Just teams that are not great on paper at all. I mean, these are bottom, 80 sides. North Macedonia is a little bit better than Kazakhstan, but still, it's like these are not, all due respect, top quality sides, but defensively, they're well organized. And, imagine, I can't imagine going up against like an Egyptian defense, which is like notorious for being like the best in Africa, or, even like let alone like a France or something like that sits back without Lukaku. I'm worried. We just played Mexico in Chicago, 1-1. Mexico, it's the worst Mexican generation in history, as people have said, Mexican fans. And we can't. It was so difficult to score. We didn't even create a chance in the first half without a player like Lukaku. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. But Alex, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, you kind of summed it up, to be honest. I think I'm thinking back to World Cup 2022. Lukaku was also kind of similarly coming off an injury in that tournament. I believe, did he miss the opener against Canada where
No. Yeah.
Batshuayi scored?
Yeah. He didn't. He played only like the second
Right.
half. Morocco. Yeah.
Right. And when he came on against Morocco, and played against Croatia, like we saw those kind of chances he missed. And I feel like if if he is coming back from injury or, no playing, he has this whole situation at Napoli. I feel like that's gonna benefit us a lot. Regardless of whether he's, fit to play or not, he's definitely gonna be rusty.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, no. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I guess like this is an interesting topic I was thinking about. In terms of, so let's head to the knockouts now. Let's say Egypt gets out of the group, does well, does what we expect them to do. Would you say is the best matchup stylistically for Egypt that you would want to see them play, like in terms of a team, and the worst, like a team you'd want to avoid completely? As we can start with you.
Man, that's hard, man. That's a good
Yeah,
question because for me personally, I just wouldn't want to touch any of the South American teams that are like Brazil and you know what? I'll take Brazil.
Yeah.
I would want us to go up against
Agreed.
Brazil.
Agreed.
Give me
Agreed.
Brazil, bro. And I'll be
100%
honest,
agree.
I'm going to be there, God willing, next in June to watch that Brazil-Egypt friendly in Ohio, in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that game because I actually want to see how we go up against a South American team because those guys are very similar in the way they play, of a little bit more physical,
Yeah.
right? So I just wouldn't want to go up against an Argentina, maybe a France. Like, even though I saw good against Spain, realistically, still a friendly, and realistically, we haven't seen the best of Spain's players there. Not
Yeah.
all of them. I'm not saying it was bad. Even if it was their B team, it was good players on, but
Yeah.
just any of the really, really those teams that were like, oh, yo, they're in it to win it, like Germany, Spain, France. But if you give me like any of the Asian countries, or give me any of the Oceania or the North American countries, even give me Canada, US, Mexico, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, okay, we're going in this and we have an even fight, even if America has the whole crowd, there. Egypt's got a huge population in North
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
And I've been saying that we will show up, even if
Yeah.
the prices
Yeah.
are hot. We will
Yeah.
show up
Yes. Yeah.
somehow, some way. So as long as we
No,
don't go up against the big ones.
yeah. No, I agree with that. Alex, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think stylistically, and I've said this before, for me, Spain has always been kind of my nightmare matchup because I feel like they can pick apart defenses. And I know, like, as you said, like, we played extremely well against them in that friendly, but, I'm looking at someone like a Nico Williams on the left who can probably terrorize or maybe even retire Mohamed Hani, with all due respect. Um, I would be nervous for that kind of matchup if they have, their midfield firing. And aside from them, I would say Argentina are another one. And I wouldn't say I want this matchup by any means, but I would like to see us against an England, to be honest. I would love it. I feel like that's a team that's matchup stylistically, they are not the most potent attack, and I feel like their defense can somewhat be got at. I feel like we could, who knows? I'm not saying we get a result against them, but out of any of the big teams, or like the favorites, I should say, not big teams, because I feel like Brazil, Germany, we would actually have a decent chance, and we'll see. I'm also trying to go to that game as well in Cleveland. I think out of all the favorites, France, Spain, Argentina, I feel like England are ones that, I would like to see that matchup. But, as for a matchup that I actually want, in our predictions video, Carson, we had Australia in the round of 32. A team like that, any of the Asian teams, as you said, Ezzy, or even like a low tier European team, like, with all due respect to
Bosnia
Bosnia.
yeah.
Yeah, a team like that, I feel like we would have a good matchup against, but we'll see. Time will tell.
What about I know I'm the biggest, as if you're not aware, but I'm Alex knows that I'm the biggest France hater. I will give them their
Ooh,
respect, but I
interesting.
obviously, like, being a Belgium fan, there are direct rivals, and it's kind of a one-sided rivalry, to be honest. I will say, for the past couple of years, we've bottled a multitude of games against them, but I mean, just from like, I think France are the favorite right now to win the tournament, to be honest. I think they're the best team. But just from, like, a stylistic perspective, do you think, like, I don't know if you guys have seen a lot of France, but, like, how Didier Deschamps plays, like, they play against quote unquote inferior teams, like, with, less superstars. They don't tend to play as well. Would you consider, like, them a team that you might want to play, or is that, just with Mbappe and all those players, like, you just, like, avoid?
Stay away, bro. Just keep me away. Damn, bro. Hey, listen, man.
I
If there's
agree.
one team, genuinely, you're telling me, I don't want to go up against, it
Yeah.
is France. Because
Yeah.
France, you look at it, Olise's coming off of, in my opinion, a Ballon d'Or season right now, where he
Agreed.
genuinely can go for that. You got, even if a lot of Madrid fans are against him, Mbappe is Mbappe. I'm never gonna take that away from him. The guy is
Especially at
still
a
him.
World Cup. Yeah.
Exactly, especially at a
Yeah.
World Cup. And you got whoever you want at left wing, if that's Barcola or Dembele or who, like even like I'm a Liverpool fan as well. Like if Ekitike was there, I would have been like, yo, you have Mbappe, Ekitike, and Olise, who honestly is a crazy front three. Even Thuram, who I know is not having like a super great season, but he's good. And then the midfield is already like it's just names that you just don't want to go up against
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
that's just
And
me.
yeah, I mean, and Ezzy, do you agree with Alex's like opinion on England? Are you in kind of the same boat there? Or
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I'm not afraid of England. My friends, they're a lot of them support the Portuguese national team for Ronaldo and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, Portugal and all that stuff. And they're like, oh, England can go far. I'm
yeah,
like, see, I don't know. There's
yeah.
too much of a wild card.
Yeah,
I'm not too into their team, honestly.
That's Carson's favorites right there.
yeah. I have them actually winning the tournaments, but it's for
That's fair.
I can get into the reasons, but it's not because they're the best team. It's kind of just the way things end up. But yeah,
I
see.
don't blame you. I don't blame you. Like you look at the names, you look at the players, you look at how they are.
Yeah,
It's a great team. You got Thomas Tuchel as their manager as well, who is notorious for his way of like tactics.
and in
But
tournaments too. Yeah,
and in tournaments, especially, he's a long run person in those things.
yeah,
But you just don't know how they're gonna set up. Like you sit there, you're like, who's playing right back? Who's playing
yeah,
left back? Who's
yeah,
what is the midfield? Who's going to be playing where? Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't wrap your head around. Even the attack has gotten to a point where you're like, who's gonna go play? Like we know Kane's starting, but who's around Kane? We know Bellingham's probably gonna play, but where is Bellingham playing? Is he a cam? Is he a CD? Is he gonna play as a holding midfielder? Like, so I just find England is such like a wild card where you don't know what's gonna happen with them. So I don't know. You might be right though. They might win it. I do think they are one of the favorites. But will they make it that far? How they'll play against Spain? How they'll play against a France or a
yeah.
Germany even? I don't know.
I think not to get off topic, but just like to close out on England. I think if England gets to a final, that's why I have them winning because they've just lost so many in the past that I feel like it's kind of due. It's like a final is a final. You play a final like any team can win. It's not that I think they're better than France, Spain, Argentina, those teams. So, but they have to get there first. They could easily lose to like a Mexico in the Azteca early on or someone like that. You just never know. I mean, it's
Or
with
in
England.
Egypt.
Yeah,
Yep.
or in Egypt. Yeah. Inshallah, man.
I'll be there, bro. Inshallah, I'll be there.
And then I guess one of the final questions. So obviously Mohamed Salah, having kind of a tough year at Liverpool, and obviously just recently coming down with a hamstring injury. What do you kind of expect from him? All the Egyptian. I think Ibrahim Hassan came out and said that he'll be perfectly ready in time for the World Cup. But what is kind of your expectation for Salah at this tournament, and how do you think he's going to kind of bow out maybe in his last World Cup? I would assume he wanted to be I don't know, almost 40 by the next one, but yeah,
Look, I love Salah. He's the reason why I'm a Liverpool fan. He's the reason why I follow football for a lot of it. And a lot of my friends were telling me, "Hey, are you going to still be a Liverpool fan after he leaves?" And I was like, "Well, I'm stuck in a position where I have to be." You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's been 9 years, right? But
Yeah.
Salah is he's gotten old. You could tell he's lost a little bit. Even in AFCON,
yeah,
there was a lot of sparks that I saw where I was like, okay, that's the Salah I know. And then there was a
yes,
lot of, oh, you have lost it a little bit as well. So
yeah,
it really depends how the system is being played around him. Like you guys said, tactically, Hussam Hassan is improving, and I'm hoping that improvement continues. And I'm hoping that Salah goes into this World Cup to prove a point. In my opinion, I wanted Salah to retire after this season. It's my
yeah.
hot take. I
Wow.
didn't want him. I didn't want him to continue. I didn't want him to go to Saudi. I thought the best way possible for him is, like Jamie Carragher said, leave the football before the football leaves you. I'm not saying that the football's leaving him. I'm just saying that end at a high, right?
Yeah.
Like Tony Kroos.
Yeah.
Tony Kroos
Yeah.
had that season last year or 2 years ago, ended it on a high and said, you know what, I'll go with Germany to the Euros and
To
then
the
call it
Euros,
a
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And it's a dream for every Egyptian to win the AFCON, but he's gotten unlucky, and I think I'll say this a million times. I think the players around him did not help him whatsoever in
Yeah,
those two AFCON finals. So I think it's just time for him to do what he can at the World Cup and prove to the world that he's truly not done, but get us as far as we can. Even though I know it's a team game, but I love the guy. He's the reason why Egypt is on the map the way it is these days. So yeah.
100%. Yeah, no, I think Salah is someone who, I've always kind of had a little bit of mixed feelings about, just because sometimes for the national team, I feel like there was just a little bit of, almost selfishness, but I honestly think that's extremely harsh looking back, because, I look at like AFCON 2017, where he was unbelievable in my opinion, and even AFCON in 2022, I also thought was a great tournament out of him. But I really just I'm kind of in agreement with you. I don't think he'll retire, and like I'm sure you agree, because he's someone that's really conditioned his body to play almost near 40, whatever. So we'll see where he goes after this season. But yeah, I think for Egypt specifically, I really hope that this team can he can take this team at least to a round of 16 and kind of go out on a high, because I feel like, if we see that there, then that will be a good time, I think, for Salah to leave the national team. And who knows, maybe he'll stay after until another AFCON. We'll see what happens. But I'm in agreement. I think this should kind of be his crowning moment, finally actually getting to play properly in a World Cup. Obviously, he had 2018, but they were already out when he came in. So I think this will be his kind of crowning moment for the Egyptian national team, hopefully.
And I guess yeah, the second to last question I have, then if Salah, as you guys both have said, you're expecting him to do things and to do well on this Egyptian side, but obviously everybody knows he's not quite the same player as he once was. But then that begs the question. I mean, a lot of people will say the name you're probably all thinking of, but who is the key player for Egypt for this upcoming World Cup? I mean, I'm assuming most people would say Marmoush, but if anyone else has any other thoughts, but
I don't think it's Marmoush. I think he's
wow.
the future. I
Yeah.
think he definitely is that forward line, but believe it or not, I'm looking more into the midfield. I'm thinking if Imam Ashur can pull out the Imam Ashur I've seen in
Mm,
Al Ahly and
Yeah.
before, he will raise a lot of eyebrows and hopefully get a good move to Europe where he can actually stay and continue. I think if he's playing the way I want him to play, and I will forever say this: the past 8 years, the reason why we've lost the last 8 years in a lot of tournaments is not because of the defense, not because of the attack, but mainly because of the midfield, because the midfield was shambles. Like, I love Nini, but I was never his biggest fan when he played for the national team. Me personally,
Miss Mr. Sideways. That's
I
what we used to
miss
call him.
yeah, like it was there were jokes about him all throughout Egypt because people were just I'm not nothing against him. He's just his play style was very interesting, but I just think Imam Ashur is that next big thing coming out of Egypt, and if it's not, then there's a lot of youngsters that uh, I'm in touch with there that are making noise slowly, and they've done what all the senior players now aren't doing, which is, hey, we've built ourselves here. Let's go to Europe straight away and let's build
Mm,
ourselves even more there. If it's Omar Yasser, who I just made a video on recently, or Hamza Abdel Karim, or those guys, if this generation ends this World Cup,
Yeah.
I personally have a lot of faith in the generation coming up because of what I'm seeing
agreed.
and what I'm noticing from the youngsters. So I don't know about you, Alex, but
Yeah, I really like the Imam Ashur shout. I also honestly probably wouldn't go for Omar Marmoush. I would say I'm looking at Mustafa Shobair in goal.
ooh,
And I think he could really explode this tournament, because we've seen iconic goalkeeping performances from Egyptians. Everyone remembers Gabaski in 2022. Shenawi as well also put on insane performances in that tournament. Al-Hadari.
Cavani is still shaking his head after that volley.
Bro, that game sold us a
Yeah.
dream against the Shinnewi. That game sold us
Yeah.
it was a dream that I was like, oh my god, we got something.
He was you know, he was linked to Madrid. I mean, I don't know if that was fake news, but I swear it was in a Madrid paper that year that he was like he was going to be the backup
Yeah.
for Courtois. I mean, it was like he had that good of a game.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Hadari as well. Everyone knows, like, he is probably. I would say he's probably the best African goalkeeper of all time, in my opinion. Um, but I'm looking at Chaubert as someone that can really explode onto the scene. He's already had the Girona links, and I feel like he's someone who could explode this tournament and really just take us to the a round further than we might be able to go. I completely agree about, the younger players coming through and just going straight to Europe. I love that. Yeah, that's all from me.
and I actually I do have one like mini question before the final one, but also obviously Haitham Hassan is committed to Egypt and playing for Egypt now. I mean, are there any expectations you guys have for him? Alex, I know you watch a lot of La Liga, and obviously as you're a Liverpool fan, so like seeing these big time matches, and obviously Haitham Hassan is a notable talent, I would say. But any thoughts on him?
Yeah, definitely for the future. I'm very happy from what I've seen from him so far for those 2 games that he was able to cameo, especially the Saudi game. Um, I'm not expecting much. Like I'm not gonna tell you, oh, he's the next Salah. I don't no. I think he's definitely gonna do a lot better than Zizou. He's definitely gonna do a lot better than Trezeguet, that's for sure, in my opinion. But there is still a lot of things in his game that I've noticed that he's not gotten. If it's his shooting, I think his shooting needs a lot of work. I think his passing is decent. I think there's just a couple things in him that if he improves, I think it'll take him to the next level. But we'll see. I think he definitely will be in the national team the next 2-3 years at minimum. And if he continues to grow, then we're going to see him be a staple in that team.
So Alex, any thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a shame because I feel like Hosam Hassan is not going to use him very much this tournament. To be honest,
Really?
I feel like I think he should be used. If not starting, he should be one of the first off the bench. But I just think he will be underutilized for players like Zizo and Shazget, and I don't know why we, not to go back to that because we've already touched on that, but I don't know why we just continue to play these players that just haven't proven at least. Well, Shazget is just old now, but Zizo, whatever. I think Haitham Hassan, like as he said, is one for the future. I've seen him at Oviedo. I feel like he's probably earned a move to a bigger club within Spain, within Spain this season. Saw him against Barca. He was probably their best player in that game. So I'm excited to see him develop and see what he does this tournament, but I'm not expecting too much, to be honest. Yeah.
Fair enough. And I guess the final question I just want to say, I mean, I think this is just to conclude the video, but if you were a betting man and you had to say this is where Egypt is going to go in this World Cup, and you're telling all your friends, you're like, yes, like people neutrals who don't watch obviously in the US, you have so many people who are going to be watching the World Cup, who don't follow football regularly. So what round, how far do Egypt go, if you're one to say it, like, right now? As we can start with you.
The 32. Just want to see them get out of the group stage. I told you, if I'm a realist, and I just hope they make it to the round of 32. If they make it to the round of 32, for me personally, you've done your job. Same thing when they went to AFCON. I said, just get to the quarterfinals. I'm expecting you guys to win AFCON, but you made it to the semis, and that's awesome. If you guys played a little bit better, maybe the final, but round of 16 is my answer.
Yeah. Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say round of 16. I feel like considering our group, it's very favorable. I want to see us get second, and if we get second, then anything can happen. At least second. Obviously, I want to see us get first, but I feel like given a favorable matchup, which it seems like based on the brackets that would happen, we would probably play the second place of the United States group, which has, the US, Australia, Turkey, Paraguay. If that's the path we're given, then yeah, I want to see round of 16, to be honest, because I feel like any of those teams, I could see us, really putting up a good performance against. So yeah, I would say round of 16.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with both of you. I would say I'm leaning more towards round of 16 because I think Egypt had the capability to do so. I think it's all matchup dependent as we've kind of mentioned throughout the podcast though.
Yes,
Like
yes.
I mean if they're running into a France, God forbid in the first round, then that's, obviously that would not be good, but I honestly again I know you guys disagree. I would not be the most pessimistic if Egypt were to play France. And I know people might call me crazy, but I'm telling you, there's something about that French side against teams like that that just doesn't play as well. But yeah, I'd say round of 16, and you get to there, and I think that's just brilliant. I mean, with the players that they have and a new generation coming in, and for Salah's last run, I think that would be kind of poetic. And I do think also round of 16 and you put up a fight against like a top side, you're dragging them into the depths, maybe an extra time, pens. I mean, you can't ask for more. I mean, I think that's even if you did in the round of 32 against France, I mean, I think that's you have to tip your hat. So
Anything can happen. Anything
anything
can
can
happen.
happen. It is the World Cup. And ladies and gentlemen, we have about a little less than 2 months now away, almost a month basically, till the World Cup kicks off, and we cannot wait. Obviously, Alex and Ezzy have mentioned they're both, as you said, you are going to the Brazil Egypt game, like inshallah, in Cleveland, and Alex as well. So I mean, that would be pretty cool. I was trying to go to that game. I'm out of town, unfortunately, so I cannot make it. But Alex and I do have tickets, or I have my ticket so far from someone in Belgium for the Belgium Egypt match. So we're trying to go to Seattle for that. So that would be pretty cool. But ultimately, Ezzy, again, thank you so much, man, for coming on our podcast. Really want to stay in touch throughout this World Cup. Definitely want to do more content and everything as Egypt kind of progresses through the tournament. And anyone's kind of closing thoughts before we kind of end this episode.
Thank you guys for having me on, and I can't wait to see more. And it was a great conversation. I appreciate you guys, man.
Ezzy, shout out all like your socials, whatever. Just
Yes.
go for it.
Nah, EgyptianEzzy on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. That's it, guys. That's where
We'll
I'm
have
at.
it. We'll have it in the bio as well, or the description
Appreciate
as
you
well.
guys, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah,
you
we'll
guys,
we'll
man.
link everything in the description. Make sure to subscribe and follow Ezzy on all platforms. He's the man. And thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys in future World Cup videos. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.